We're going to talk Eric Bieniemy. We're going to hear what Ryan Clark had to say about the state of the black head coaching candidates. But first, what's going on with y'all, man? Plex, TJ, how y'all feeling, man?
I feel good, man. We don't have the clear skies just yet,
That's
but
okay,
we had
though.
the palm trees.
That's
but
right.
I'm feeling good, man. Ready to put on a good show, baby.
Okay.
That's all. Ready to give y'all a good show.
TJ's got his hair pulled back and ready to do it. All right. What about you,
man?
Stretch?
You know, man, I'm just out here relaxing, man. Just doing what I got to do, man. And,
Man, Plex probably got it. Plex probably got his apron on, man, by cooking up some food or something.
Man, I had some egg whites this morning, some grapes, some pineapple, a little seafood salad. So I'm ready to go, man.
Plexico always sound like he just needed a cigarette because it just happened. Plex got the magic just happened voice. I enjoy listening to y'all with the smooth, sensational sounds of TJ and Plexico on how they feel coming into the show. All right, fellas, let's jump into this super spicy conversations. Eric Bieniemy makes a lateral move. In fact, I don't see it as a lateral move. It's a step back because you're leaving a successful organization, a successful team that has just won the world championship, and you go to the nation's capital. Now, we all know why Eric Bieniemy is leaving or had to leave, however you break it down. It is because of the shadow being so big that's cast from Andy Reid over top of Eric Bieniemy. Every single time that Eric Bieniemy is complimented, it is immediately met with Andy Reid does it. Every time Eric Bieniemy is discussed in the manner of should he be a head coach, it is Andy Reid that is used as maybe the reason why not. We got some comments from Ryan Clark. You know, he's one of our guys, the homie. He does great work at ESPN. I'm curious after we hear what he has to say about it, about the whole Eric Bieniemy situation. I'm curious as to, do you think this was the right move for Eric Bieniemy to get out of KC? But here's what Ryan Clark had to say.
Here is what strikes me. You have Jonathan Gannon, who does a good job, but who is thoroughly outcoached in the second half of this football game in the Super Bowl. And Andy Reid shows you that he isn't necessarily up to the level that you need to be to win a championship. And then we see on the other side a guy like Eric Bieniemy, who's been to 5 AFC championships, also won 2 Super Bowls, and he's not necessarily up to snub to lead a locker room according to the executives, according to the owners. Let's go back to last year with a guy like Raheem Morris, who was a young head coach in Tampa Bay and now worked his way on both offense and defense, and you actually win the Super Bowl with your defense coming up with the main stops against the Cincinnati Bengals, who were seemingly unstoppable last year to win the Super Bowl. I don't want to be the guy that always has to bring up that black coaches are continually overlooked. I'm the guy that wants to bring up what are these other coaches doing that the African American and minority coaches aren't doing that's allowing them to get jobs, because it can no longer be about winning championships, because neither Shane Steichen nor Jonathan Gannon did that. But here we are 2 days after the game that they lost, by the way, and they now have head coaching jobs. All I'm asking is make it make sense.
Can y'all make it make sense?
I mean, when you look at it, LaVar, listen, we all know it doesn't make sense. It's never made sense, and it's not going to make sense. That's the world we live in. And at this point, it kind of is what it is, because if it was good for Doug Peterson, who didn't call plays, it was good for Matt Nagy, who didn't call plays, why can't it be good for Eric Bieniemy, who did not call plays? They all have the same thing in common, with the exception of one thing. One's a minority and the other 2 aren't. That's the only way you can look at it when you say they both received opportunities. And I believe Gannon was thoroughly outcoached in the second half of that Super Bowl. You have to make an adjustment when they're running the same play to opposite sides, because they know you play man-to-man inside the 5-yard line, and you guys giving up wide open touchdowns. And supposedly, whether this is true or not, they said Eric Bieniemy is the one that discovered this when they played the Jags early in the season. So he brought it to their attention. And so this is no surprise. It's been this way for years. I get where RC is coming from. If you're a black coach and you see guys that were in your position get head coaching opportunities, and you're like, okay, my time is coming. Oh, no, your time ain't coming because you don't call plays. You must prove that you can call plays and be an offensive coordinator even though they didn't have to. I mean, at this point, we all know what it is. We all know what it is. It's at one point in time, the black quarterback wasn't smart enough. He couldn't think like the white guy at the quarterback position. All we could do was be athletic, throw the ball far, or run fast. I mean, at one point, that's all it was. Now with opportunity, these guys are showing that that is not the case. we can do just as good as they can do. And so eventually this will not be a topic of conversation, but it is because the owners, they don't feel comfortable. Because if they did, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Man, we know how this NFL business operates because us three have been on the inside of those walls and watched how management and the organization have handled situations, dealing with, black players, minority coaches, so on and so forth. But concentrating on the Eric Bieniemy situation, Eric Bieniemy was supposed to be a head coach years ago. And I think like these NFL organizations are looking at him and basically saying, you know what, you're not an integral part of what they're doing because Patrick Mahomes can do this with any offensive coordinator. I think that is one of the things that has hindered him from becoming a head coach. And also you look at minorities, like I'm saying to myself, Byron Leftwich just won a world championship 2 years ago. And there's no way, I'm saying that he should have been on an NFL team as an offensive coordinator way by now.
And he's unemployed.
And he's still unemployed looking for a job. Those are the things that I don't understand, and the man has a world champion under his resume. But if you look at the offensive coordinators that have coached great quarterbacks, not Barn Cullen, Nathaniel Hackett, and Josh McDaniels, look at how those offensive coordinators fared when they got head coaching jobs, when they coached these great quarterbacks.
Josh McDaniels should have been fired this year.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, he should have been fired this year.
If by all by all measurements of what a head coach is supposed to be and how even if your team is losing, that there's a way to lose.
But
they were horrible.
But what I'm supposed to say, what I'm getting to is that Josh McDaniels was offered 3 or 4 head coaching jobs during his tenure while he was with the Patriots.
Turned down the Colts.
But he was seeking comfort because he knew that what he had at the quarterback position, he wasn't leaving. And now you flip side to what Eric Bieniemy is going through. He knows, and we know, that the best opportunity for him to be a head coach is to leave Kansas City. Is it the best move? Absolutely not.
It's a horrible move.
We don't even know who the quarterback is going to be.
It's a horrible move.
Sam Howell.
He has to step away from a Hall of Fame, might be one of the best quarterbacks to ever play, to get some respect and some recognition, and to go to the Washington Commanders because Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are the focal point and the reason why the Kansas City Chiefs are having all this success. Do you think he wants to leave the situation that he's in? No, because he's not going to climb the ladder. He will be offensive coordinator in Kansas City until Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid choose to leave or they fire him. So he has to take a step back in his career to go forward. And he understands that, and we know that also. He's not going to become a head coach if he remains the offensive coordinator in Kansas City, and that is point blank.
I'm going to throw this out there, and I know it might not be a popular take on it, but it has to be more than race at this point with Eric Bieniemy. He's been too successful. He's done too much. There's no way you can – I could care less about people saying it's Andy Reid. I thought it was interesting that even when Ryan came in with his comments about the two coordinators getting a head coaching job after losing, He said they weren't good enough to beat who on defense, right? Jonathan Gannon wasn't good enough to beat who on defense? He said Andy Reid. He didn't say Eric Bieniemy, which I found to be very interesting because he fell in the same pocket of what we're talking about. You should have said Eric Bieniemy, right? Shouldn't you have said Eric Bieniemy because it's Eric Bieniemy's offense?
Absolutely,
right?
He's the one. But is it his offense?
That
is what the NFL. That's what these
the
NFL
bottom line is.
Looking at it.
Here's the bottom line. You tell me how hard it is for even like let's make it all holistic deal. How hard is it for someone to get an OC job in the college ranks? I don't care how white you are. I don't care how black you are. How hard is it for you to get one of those positions? It's very hard. At the pro level, it's even harder because it's less. There's less opportunities for that. You're not just going to have Eric Bieniemy as a placeholder. We just saw how quickly some of these offensive coordinators got let go or went different places in the National Football League. You're not just having somebody there as a placeholder. You're my offensive coordinator. Okay, but it's Andy Reid's offense. To me, that shows.
But LaVar, if it was good for Matt Nagy and Doug Peterson, why can't it be good for Bieniemy?
I agree.
Why can't it?
No. What I'm saying to you is there's not one thing I disagree with what either one of you said. But what I'm saying to you is Eric Bieniemy is not just a placeholder for Kansas City. Eric Bieniemy is a productive contributor as the offensive coordinator. That's his position. That's his job title. That says to me, if you cannot at this point garner more of an opportunity to be a head coach, there could be something there about Eric Bieniemy that is keeping him from getting that job versus the color of his skin. And I know that might not be popular, but I'm just saying, on the merits of what he's been able to accomplish, it's preposterous to think that all of these teams that need help are passing up on somebody of the quality and of the results that he's been able to get, and he's just not good enough. Like, DeMeco Ryans just got a job.
He's good enough. That is what we're saying. He's good enough. What we are trying to say is that everybody knows that Andy Reid has been one of the best play callers that we have ever seen. Bieniemy came into a situation to where he was running Andy Reid's offense. Matt Nagy will step in, most likely, and be the offensive coordinator of that football team, and there will be no drop-off from the offense and Patrick Mahomes and that offense, and they may win another Super Bowl without Eric Bieniemy.
Correct. But
that is what we're trying to say.
To me, the goalpost being moved here is saying that Andy Reid has run. That's like saying, okay, someone who's under Veach, the GM of Kansas City, which, by the way, Veach was under people in Philadelphia before he became Andy Reid's full-time GM, if I recall correctly. That's like saying, I don't want the understudy of Andy Reid. I don't want the understudy of Bill Belichick. How many understudies have we seen taken from Bill Belichick?
They did want the understudy. It came with conditions. It came with conditions.
Conditions, whatever. To say that you don't want the understudy who knows what Andy Reid is calling, who knows how Andy Reid is designing plays, who knows how Andy Reid wants to run practices and do things and handle things, something is falling short. Something is coming up short. And I'm not willing to settle in on just saying it's because Eric Bieniemy is black. Eric Bieniemy is not good enough to get the job because he's black. That's been the narrative. That's been shoved down everybody's throat every single time he doesn't get the head coaching job. I can't continue to believe that there isn't something else there, that when they're interviewing him, they're saying, this is not a direction I feel comfortable going
LaVar,
down this lane.
How many head coach opening was it this year? How many?
I don't off the top of my head, I don't know.
It was at least 5.
Like 5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah. And how many hired a black coach?
I think one. One, maybe?
How many did he get interviewed for?
I don't know. I don't even think any. One,
None.
maybe?
None.
Yeah, I don't think any.
Not be any.
Well, here's it. Here's the thing.
It doesn't help. And also, when you have the Shady McCoys of the world coming out
Yeah.
and saying the things about Eric
that's what
Bieniemy
I'm
that he
saying.
had to say.
There may be something else going on there, guys. I'm saying I'm not saying the problem as a whole doesn't exist for minority coaches. Because we're not having the conversation about Mexican coaches not getting a head coaching job, Asian coaches not getting the head job, the Polynesian coaches. There should probably be a ton of Polynesian head coaches. They're just as successful in the game these days as anybody else. Where are the Samoan coaches? Where are Polynesian coaches? Where's the Pacific American coaches? I'm just saying, I just don't feel as though where we're at now.
It's because of the success that Kansas City has had, and Bieniemy is the offensive coordinator that does not call plays. How can he continue to get overlooked? That's all. And you're 100% correct about LaShawn McCoy. LaShawn McCoy has some negative things to say about Bieniemy, and so I'm sure that plays a part.
There may be other people of more significance that have things to say about Eric Bieniemy. And
behind closed doors.
100%.
He just said his publicly. He said his publicly.
And that's what I'm touching on. All right, it's a long conversation. It's a big topic, and I'm sure it's not going anywhere. But I will say this. Eric Bieniemy should not become the poster child of why minority coaches are being viewed incorrectly and aren't getting jobs. I mean, I'm saying DeMeco Ryans just got named the head coach, and he's a fine coach, fine guy. I do believe things have to improve. I do believe that these conversations will have to continue to take place. But Eric Bieniemy, to me, doesn't need to be the poster child of minority coaches not getting head coaching jobs.
Too late for that.
It is what it is.
Too late
I'm
for
just
that.
saying.